Hi, I'm Katharina Engelhardt, and welcome to the You Got This podcast, the podcast where we dive into career and leadership inspiration for women who are ready to take charge and lead with ease, confidence, and fun. In each episode, we explore strategies and stories designed to help you break through barriers, embrace your authentic self, and create the career you deserve. Whether it's through solo episodes packed with actionable insights or conversations with inspiring experts, this podcast is all about helping you to step up, to be seen, and to lead with impact. So, if you're ready to learn more about how to rise and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome to You Got This, the podcast for ambitious women who are ready to take control of their careers and step into leadership with confidence. I'm your host, Katharina Engelhardt, and today's guest is someone who has a profound impact on my own career journey. Welcome to Kathy.
Thank you for having me, Katharina. I'm so just overjoyed, over the moon to be with you, and so proud of everything you're doing and inspired. Thank you again for having me.
Many professional and especially women, and this is, most of the people we talk to struggle with confidence, self-doubt, and breaking through career barriers. Today, we are diving into how you can step into your power, the most powerful you, how you can overcome limiting beliefs and create a career that truly fulfills you. I'm thrilled to be joined by you because you are a globally recognized career and leadership coach. You are Forbes Senior Contributor and the author of The Most Powerful You and Breakdown Breakthrough. And I think we will talk about key lessons from your books today, what holds professionals or women professionals back, and practical steps to overcome or to become more confident, visible, and fulfilled in your work. I mean, your own career path has been incredible. You started, I think, in corporate leadership, you moved into therapy, family counseling, and now coaching and training professionals around the world. What inspired your transition into this work, and what was the defining moment that led you to help others break their career barriers?
Thank you again for these great questions, Katharina. So, it's an interesting story of ups and downs, but I'll try to condense it. In the very beginning of my career, I did very much want to be in the business world, and I wanted to be in publishing, but less than number 100, 1 out of 10,000 is that instead of really sticking tight to what I hoped for, which was to work in publishing and help authors birth their exciting ideas, that was the goal. I kind of bailed on that from the minute I needed to get a job at age 22, right out of college. And I landed in marketing in the publishing world. So what I learned, Katharina, is you can be really quite good at something that actually isn't what you're meant to do, for your career. So I was great at it, marketing and copywriting and promotion, but I hummed along for quite a while, 18 years in that corporate life. And when I so some of it was very rewarding for sure. I managed market research, which I love, qualitative and quantitative research to develop new products. Some of it I really loved. But as I hit 40, that career, I faced really some deep crises. What does that mean? Sexual harassment, gender bias, gender discrimination, toxic colleagues, narcissistic bosses, chronic illness. I had, because we worked together, I'm a singer on the side and a speaker. Well, for 4 years, every 3 months, I'd have an infection in my trachea. Who's ever heard of such a thing? Tracheitis, where I couldn't speak and I was so sick, fever. It was the worst. But honestly, worse than all that was waking up every day saying, is this really what I'm going to be doing with my precious time? And I had 2 young kids at the time. They're now 27 and 30. Oh, they're the light of my life. But I also wasn't in the fabric of their life. And it all felt wrong, Katharina. But I didn't know how to change it. So now this is 20 plus years ago. But what happened was I was promised kind of the moon at my job. Stay, you have a huge career here. And a senior leader said, buy the biggest house you can. We were looking for a new house to move our family. And I did that. And 1 month after that was 9/11. And 1 month after that, I was laid off.
Oh,
And I don't know, a lot of people, look at my country right now. We're going through so much, so much, so many firings, so many sudden layoffs. When you go through it and you're not ready for it, it can be really one of the most demoralizing, devastating things. And I have clients now who have gone through this and they're doing amazing work. Anyway, I digress. To answer your question, I really had a breakdown moment where I said, enough. I cannot continue one more minute. So I was sitting in my therapist's office, weeping. And he said, and truly, I know you feel this. There's sometimes where someone says something, and in that very moment, the universe cracks open and it changes you forever. And he said, I know this looks like the worst crisis you've ever faced, but from where I sit, it's the first moment you can choose who you want to be in the world. Not what, who. And he said, now who do you want to be? And I didn't know. My mind went blank and I spewed out, I want to be you. And we both laughed. And he said, what does that mean to you? And I said, I want to help people, not hurt people and be. And from that conversation, he said, I think you'd make a great therapist. I've known you 2 years. And I did the research it wasn't a new thing. I've always been interested in psychology and understanding what makes people tick. I've always had kind of HSP, highly sensitive person traits where I take in from the environment more than many people do. But it happened. I got the master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And while that was absolutely life-changing, the most transformative experience ever, it wasn't the final destination. I then found coaching, and specifically career and leadership coaching for women. And, we won't get political here, but I'm really quite astounded in my country that DEI is now being reversed. It's the first few weeks I really was in shock. That said, I love helping men as well. Absolutely. I don't close the door on men. However, having studied women's challenges for 20 years and written 2 books about it and 3 courses, there's a shortcut. Like women can fill out my career path assessment, which I know you have too, and I can see it all right there. So we have a breakthrough in the first session because of this shortcut that, the assessments as well as me having lived many of these challenges. Does that answer the question? That was a long story.
yeah, but I think it's an interesting story as well, how to come out of the depths of something, what is put on you, that you have the power to change it. You're not a victim. And I think that's one of the messages you're putting across as well in your podcast, Finding Brave. I think you really made the sentence like a stand out, finding brave. I think that's such a powerful message. Yeah. And what I really admire is your ability to help professionals to find their power, to finding this brave. Can you share what this means and why it's such a critical mindset for career success?
Thank you for asking. I love this question. And, with many things that happen to us that are not exactly what we prepare for, I had done a TEDx talk. I got the chance to do this in Atlanta, Georgia, 2016. And I named it Time to Brave Up. And it was, whatever it is, 16 minutes, it's a very hard thing to do, a TEDx talk or a TED talk, because you have to distill down everything you know into 16 minutes and it's challenging. But within that, I gave an exercise that I think is really a helpful starting place about the 20 facts of you, how to get really clear in about an hour about who you really are, what matters most to you, and what are the accomplishments and achievements you've made that are most inspiring to you, not your mother and father, not your boss, you. And then to dimensionalize the skills and the amazing, unique talents that you have and abilities that allowed you to accomplish those. So the funny thing is, when I decided I wanted to do my own podcast, I wanted to call it Brave Up,
Ah,
but I did not trademark that. and we were putting it together. The website, I had already invested in it. And I said, wait a minute here. I did a Google search. I didn't see it. But then I did a trademark search, and unbelievably, someone had trademarked that 1 month before.
God.
And someone who had literally about 3 months of coaching experience. And what happened was I was absolutely gutted. Like this was my baby. And I was in Greece at the time with a number of incredible people co-hosting a retreat. Avril McDonald was my dear friend. We were in the bathroom and I told her, I'm so gutted. I'm so gutted. And I told her the name, and she has an amazing book series and a number of them, children's book series. And she said, what about Finding Brave? And I was so struck because truly, Katerina, Brave Up to me now feels like a little bit like Brave Up, a little bit of slap across the face.
Yeah, exactly. This performance
Is it?
culture.
Right, right. Just do it. That is not the energy of what I have found to be helpful. It's finding brave, searching for it in yourself, searching for it outside, and taking one micro step a day, a minute, a month. It's finding it where you didn't think you had it. So
Exactly.
that's how it emerged. And I'm so happy that Brave Up didn't happen to be the
It
name.
doesn't make sense, brave up, if you don't have it. Where's the source? How can you
Where are you
brave
going to
up?
get
You
it?
need to go out, find it, and then cultivate it and grow it. It's like a plant, isn't it? That you need to cultivate over time. It needs to grow.
That's it. And it's not a one-time deal. It's okay, I tried it and wow, that didn't go the way I want, or wow, that was so expansive and exciting. But it's a journey that it keeps unfolding, as you said, like the beautiful plant behind you. Yeah, it is not a one-shot deal. I find that I'm finding brave, with everything that happens and all these changes coming at us in the US and elsewhere. I feel like I have to find brave pretty much every day.
I think we all need to find it and go for it and hunt it. Like gratitude and braveness, bravery is it's important to our lives, isn't it? I find it so inspiring. And I think I can find the link to the TEDx talk and I will put it in the show notes because
Thank
I
you.
think it's so inspiring to listen to this one. And this looking into your career stories, trying to understand where you had the flow moments. I think this helps so much to understand what's making you tick, where your strengths is, but as well where your ambition goes, because you can be very happy in something where you might not be very good at this one, but you still need to go for the happiness part. I think this is all the time where we need to really wait. What's the next thing, isn't it?
Can I amplify that? I couldn't
Yeah,
agree more, Katerina.
yeah, yeah.
Years ago, I heard, and it typically comes from men, and I don't mean to be overly genderist, and I certainly don't mean to be discriminatory in any way or paint all men or all women with the same brush, but I've heard millionaire men, more than one, say, forget passion, go with what you're good at. And I have to tell you, that incenses me, and I'll tell you why. Because I did that. And so do so many of the people who come to me for help. They've spent 20 years doing what they're good at. But what I love to encourage people to do is marry up, find that intersection
Ex-
between what you are good at and what you're passionate about and driven to and compelled to do. Now, the thing is, I think when people say that, forget your passion, they think you're going to end up broke by the side, living as Saturday Night Live, our funny show here, living in a van by the side of the road. Why? Why are we associating passion with going broke?
yeah,
I mean, now there are ways to pursue our passion that it can be unwise, not good timing. I've done it, but it's a mistake to think that if you're passionate about something, I mean, you're a living example, so am I, that it's wrong and that you should only do what you're good at. What I say to do when how it works is to leverage what comes naturally and easily to you that
exactly.
you love. Why are we going to break our heads against work that we're great at that we hate?
Exactly. It doesn't work. It works for a short time, but not, I mean, let's be honest. We have a decade where we are learning, then we are working, and then we are retiring. And this phase in between, we need to make it the best phase of our life because it's a long time and this is at the peak of our life. So we should be having fun there, earn money and have fun both. Yeah. I think that's so, so important.
I love
When
it.
I was reading your books and it caught me really in The Most Powerful You, you're talking about 7 power gaps that hold professionals, and most of the time females, yeah, and it holds them back from reaching their highest potential. Maybe you can give us just a glimpse on what these 7 power gaps are and give us some real life examples of professionals overcoming them and what it is.
I would love that. Let me give a little context so we know what we're talking about. I would say now it's probably 5 or 6 years ago. I stopped in my tracks and I said, "What is going on that no matter where?" And yes, the book has a lens for women, but men have these gaps too. And I have the numbers for that, not in front of me, but there's a prevalence there for men too. But I said, "What is going on that no matter where these professionals are calling from, all over the world, no matter what level, no matter what socioeconomic level, education, arena, title, they're bringing the same problems over and over and over again." So I said, I'm going to pull the viewfinder back for about 6 months. I'm going to really do tons of research. I love research, qualitative and quantitative, about what is happening, what are they coming to me for help for, and why, or what is happening that they're having a breakthrough in working together. And what I found was this: the people that have a predominance of these gaps, and I'll read them off quickly in a minute, they're missing 2 things: the bravery to face head on what is not working and take accountability to change what they can change. But that isn't enough, Katerina. It's power. That's what we need as well. And what I mean by that is not the power over somebody. I mean the power to manifest, to influence, to impact, to create the changes we want to, and also to uplift ourselves and others. But crazy, I wrote the book, The Most Powerful You, with these. What I found out a little bit too late actually was women. I did a poll about this on LinkedIn. Women tend to shun power. So I did a poll. Do you want more power in your career? And what women privately said to me is, I don't want more power. I said, what do you want?
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
They said they want influence, impact, to make a difference. And I said, I need you to hear me on this. You're going to have a lot more of that when you have positive power. So part of this has been to reframe what power is. It's not abusive. It's not critical. It's not, it's assertive. It's uplifting. It can be loving. It can be compassionate. It's not what we normally think, right? So quickly, I'm going to read the 7 gaps and maybe you can tell me which few you'd love us to dig into a little bit. I'd love that. So if you don't mind, I'd love to read them and then tell you the percentage of people who say they have
Exactly. I
this.
think that's super interesting.
Thank you, dear. First, not recognizing your special talents, abilities, and accomplishments. Percent of the people who, answered the survey, and now it's about over 2,000 people, have the gap. And I must say, as a researcher with ethics, I asked, do you have it? Yes, no, or maybe. I will say, if you say maybe, you also have it. So I've collapsed yes and maybe into it because I've worked with so many people who think I maybe do. Yes, they do. Number 2 is communicating from fear, not strength. 70% have this gap. Number 3, reluctance to ask for what you want and deserve. 70%. I mean, there's so much data, particularly on, women versus men in terms of negotiating for salary at the very first job onward. And, the data hasn't changed much, unfortunately, the numbers, but 77%, that's rough. Number 4 is isolating from influential support. 71% say they have this gap. So just quickly, research shows that women have 3 times as many mentors, but men have twice as many sponsors, which are mentors who have clout, who have
Yeah.
power, who have
Yeah.
influence to open doors for you, right? That's a lot of people, 71%. Number 5 is acquiescing instead of saying stop to mistreatment. 45, is it 45? Yeah, 48 48% say they have this. I feel that more people have this, but they don't want to admit it because it means not speaking up when you see mistreatment around you, not just to you. And I think most of us just don't want to admit that we're not doing what we need to do. I know why we're not. I mean, there's no judgment here. It can be scary and it can be punitive when we do. Number 6 is losing sight of the thrilling dream you had for your life. I want to say I have all of these gaps, had them. And 76% say, yep, that's me. I had a dream when I got out of school or college or when I was 20 about what I would be doing. And this ain't it. And finally, number 7, allowing the past to continue to shape and define you.
Oh, yeah.
62%. And here's another reason I think that number is slightly low. We don't know that we're allowing the past to continue to shape us. We're not aware of it. What we do know is, this is where I'm at right now is not what I dream, not what I want. But often we don't know why that is. So there it is.
I find this so interesting. We have this inner voice who's telling us something. And this is exactly maybe the past. When I hear an inner voice, it's most of the time my mom telling me something. I'm like, Mom, I'm a grown up person now. I ridicule myself, but this is my way of dealing with this potential power gap, to ensure that I'm in the now. I'm not the child anymore. I'm independent. So, but any of these power gap is something which I'm like, we need to do something. How can we support women to get out of this trap, to really step into their potential? And I was thinking a lot, which one of these sevens, which is the most important one, and all of them are important, because in order to grow in the future, you need to let go of the past and you need to be in the present. So you need to look into all of these power gaps. But what I think is really not helping, and specifically in times from working from home, is this not knowing where you're special. Because if you don't know what you're special at, you cannot talk about this. Then you're not visible. And when you're not visible, you take yourself out of the promotion cycles. You're just not there. And then you can't start owning your impact. It doesn't work. Yeah. And people don't have telepathic powers. No one has, no leader and no man. They don't. Yeah.
That's right.
So I think the biggest challenge for women is this visibility topic. That's
I
what I
love
don't
it.
know what you think.
I would agree. Now, I would say all of the gaps kind of dovetail. They're all overlapping and intricate. They don't stand apart particularly, but I would say if you look at this, and you can certainly read my book, The Most Powerful You, and there's an audio version I narrated, which was interestingly, beautifully fun. But if you're wondering, where do I begin? Because I think I have all of these, start with number 1, because as you said, Katerina, if we do not recognize our own worth, our own value, and even more specifically, I want to say this. So many women say, I have this career path assessment, 13 pages of questions I wish someone had asked me. It's not a quantitative assessment. I review it and give you my feedback. But so many women say, I'm not special, don't have special
Yeah.
talents. So, for instance, I had a anesthesiologist from Europe, and she said, I don't have any special talents. And she also taught residents. She was amazing. And I said, hang on here now. So this is an example. I said, could I just walk into your job tomorrow and do your job? And she
Like,
went, I didn't know. And I don't think so. And I said, could I actually kill someone walking into your job tomorrow doing it? She said, very
yep.
humbly, well,
Yep.
yes. I said, then don't tell me you don't have any special skills and talents. But what she then said is, no, I've been trained in that. That's not a special talent. Yes. And this is what I need to hit home. She, let's call her Sue, does her work differently from anyone else on the planet. We are each like our own thumbprint, unlike anyone else in the world. I need people to understand that, men and women, because we are shaped by so many influences from where we were raised, the languages we speak, how our childhood shaped
Yeah.
us, the trials, the tribulations, the crushing blows, the special abilities that we don't think even come out in our careers, like this HSP trait that I have. I used to think what it means is when you're a highly sensitive person, and I did a really neat interview on my podcast with Andre Solo about it. You again take in cues from the environment in a much deeper, more complex way. And I always did that. As a young person, I could walk into a room and I could feel what everyone was feeling. Oh, she's angry. He's exhausted. She doesn't want to be here. She's depressed. And I would wonder, what's going on that I can feel this? And I was usually right. Well, when you have that kind of ability, imagine how your work is going to be different, the impact of how you speak or how you make another person feel. So these are the things I want everyone to understand. Who are you like that thumbprint? And then how do we bring those special gifts and talents forward? What do you think?
I like this, and it reminded me of when, when I was spending time with you, when I, was training for the Amazing Career Coach, because I went through the program Amazing Career Coaching with you when I got trained as a coach. And, these sessions were for me really eye-opening, because that's really the path you guided me through, letting go of the past. This was, looking into my limiting beliefs, trying to understand what I'm special at and how to articulate it, not only to find out what I'm special at, but how can I talk about this one? Because that's two different things then as well, recognizing and then speaking up. So I really enjoyed the journey, and I'm so grateful and thankful that I was able to really go through the program myself, because then I think we are better coaches if we have the transformation lived through ourselves. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think it's so true. And I just, Mutual Admiration Society, you poured yourself into that training. You gave so much of yourself along with your part-time, and not part-time, what am I saying? Full-time job. What am I saying? And everything else you were, you're a family person as well. I so admired how curious you were. Curiosity is a life-changing trait. You wanted to understand everything about how are you showing up in the world? Where are you limiting yourself? Where are you not seeing and recognizing the impact you could make? It was really so incredibly rewarding to work with you. So thank you for that. Was your question, when a coach is getting training? I really believe this. You and I have talked about this. When I first started out, there were very few coaches, and there were very few career coaches. And, they did it very differently back then. They typically just use assessments, quantitative assessments. And I spent $1,000 20 years ago on assessments where the coach came out and said, well, it looks like you're in a perfect field for yourself, marketing. And I thought, oh no, this is the worst investment I've ever made. Flushed that right down the toilet. I really believe that coaching is a process. So not everyone's going to agree with this. And there we go. This is my, thumbprint. Having lived the life of a senior professional, then being a therapist, then being a writer, speaker, trainer, LinkedIn top voice, media voice, and learning coaching. This is not an ad for myself. This is just how I do it. I throw everything I've got into coaching. So that will be mentoring, advising, training, cheerleading, coaching. And I believe when coaches can do what you did, let me receive career and life-changing training for myself. Let me put myself into the situation that I am going to be putting my client in. It is so groundbreaking, because the truth is, a lot of people come to me and say, I want to be a coach. And what they really mean is they want to give advice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, advice giving, I do believe a lot of coaches are trained never be directive, never say what you think. I don't agree with that. But I did interview an amazing woman, Karen Kimsey House, who is the co-founder of Coactive Coaching. And I asked her on the podcast, what do you think about me giving advice? And I was like, oh no. And she said, absolutely. But there's a caveat. When people go to people who give advice, let's say it's a doctor or a lawyer, there's this dichotomy, or they think that there's a separation, that that person is the expert in
And
their life.
knows more.
That doesn't help as a coach. But for a limited viewpoint, for instance, if someone comes to me and says, I want to start a podcast, I'm going to tell you everything I know about how I do it. but I'm not trying to shove it down your throat as the expert. I'm sharing in a directive way some things that I think are really important to know. But I always say, I need you to push back if it doesn't feel right. I need you to know you're the expert in your life, but I'm the expert in transformation. And when we have that kind of dance, I think it goes beautifully. So to answer your question, that was a long answer. I think what you did helps you be the consummate coach that you are. Does that? That's
I believe as well, I think as well as a coach, you can be a mentor, but you need to tell the people that you're, may I share something, and
right.
just sometimes it helps as an inspiration just to, and then enable a transformation because you're opening people up to think differently. I think that's the magic. But we need to understand as coaches, when can we do this? Yeah. If someone is too close, then maybe not, because then we need to first open up and, prepare the ground for things
I
like
love
this.
it. And it also gives a person something to press against. So one thing, being a coach, a great coach, you have to do a lot of work on yourself, a lot of work. And what I am referring to is if you're offering that directive feedback and they don't want it, they're not wrong. We can't be angry. We can't be defensive. Well, they don't want to listen to what I have to say. If you come with that approach, it's probably not going to be a fruitful coaching relationship.
With
Does
you.
that make
I'm
sense?
with you. It makes completely sense, because then we're going back to this parent
I'm the
and
expert.
child, or boss, or or teacher and student, and that's not what coaching is about. I mean, I could talk to you endlessly. I really enjoy talking this one.
You too. I could too.
I hear that you're an exciting new book coming in, a new course. Tell me a little bit about this one, Cassie.
Well,
I'm your fan. I'm really having a fun fangirl moment. Tell me what it is.
thank you. And I'm going to not reveal too much because we're in the beginning stages, but I will say, and people will be surprised because I'm hearing from so many men as well as women and it's a particular kind of man, men who are not overly defended, willing to be vulnerable, willing to say, yeah, what's happening here, I've got to change and I don't know how. And that's, of course, millions of men as well. But I decided I want to create the next chapter of what I'm doing to look at the personal growth aspects of career growth. What are the feelings we want? What are the experiences we're longing for? And how do we get there through personal growth? So I'm doing some research. In fact, there's a LinkedIn poll right now. I'm not sure when this comes out, but you'll see a few LinkedIn polls. I'd love you all to answer them. On today's is, when you look at the career shifting you want, what are the top feelings that you want? What are the feelings that you want to experience? So this book is based on, I've written a lot, and in training my clone, Kathy Caprino AI, I realized it was 2.5 million words I've written,
Wow.
including, the 2 books and over 1,000 articles, which have 41 million views. I was floored when I saw that as I was training my clone. But one of the most read posts I've ever written is the top 10 things people want most in their life and career and struggle to get and keep. So that one post in its various iterations has about 1 million views. And when I look back truthfully on all my content, it's the personal angle, the personal growth piece that speaks to everyone. And so, yeah, it's going for not just senior leaders, it's not just leadership coaching. All of this will help us.
Well, that's all the population wants to know this. I think
That's it.
I'm really looking forward already.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. I can't wait to, the proposal is done. A few chapters are fleshed out. It's an exciting project.
Yeah, and this
But,
is what people are
sometimes,
longing.
I'm sorry, dear. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sometimes, again, just like doing the TEDx talk, we all know a lot, especially if we've been around a long time. Really trying to distill down a framework where, all right, Kathy, you're going to tell people a lot, but they need steps, they need exercises and tasks that are doable. That can be the challenging thing when you've done something a long time, but that's what I'm looking forward to
I remember
presenting.
your frameworks in Amazing Career Coaching. You have your frameworks for each and every chapter. I remember them. I really like, because it helps to it's where you can put in your thoughts. You have a
That's
frame.
it. That's
It's
right. Otherwise, it's just
yeah,
overwhelming. Where do I
yeah,
begin? I
yeah,
have no idea where
like
to
it.
begin. There it is. Thank you for asking
So
that.
before we wrap up, I have a few questions that I ask all my guests. Just what is really important to you in your career and leadership journey?
I would say, to echo what we've talked about, if you can recognize how the world needs you desperately today, and if you can take steps now, it doesn't have to be all encompassing in your career. Sometimes our heart is singing when we're doing some things outside of our career. So I always say, it's just like a partner can't be everything to you or a friend can't be everything. A career sometimes can't be everything to you. But the first thing for my journey, the biggest lesson is those things that I had ample ability at, the world needed. And I waited 20 years before I said, let me leverage these and embody these. I think that was the biggest lesson that now I'm trying to help other people embrace.
The second question is I have known what your book would be, but I didn't. What makes you happy in your professional life? What are the positive feelings?
I don't want it to sound cliche, but I used to say this a lot, and I think it's still true. I went through so many painful challenges as a professional woman that if I can help one woman a day bypass what I went through, it's a happy day. But I would now add men to that because men are struggling in our world very deeply in
They're
some
struggling.
different ways. But if I can help one person a day overcome the pain I had in my 20-year career, it's a
I
happy day.
like it.
Plus, I like to sing and I play tennis and my children and my family. And, there's a lot goes on and on. But thank you for that question.
One of your questions in the Amazing Career coaching is how do you define success and fulfillment? How would you answer this question for you?
For me, um, this is probably going to be a surprise. It's a surprise as I'm popping it out. What I didn't expect at my, I'm not going to say ripe old age, but there you go. It's not a linear journey. It's a journey of pivots, of surprises, of shocks, of change that you think is forced on you that you didn't want. What was your question? What's the most fulfilling? Is that it, Katerina?
How do you define success and fulfillment for you?
Uh, I wouldn't have defined it this way 20 years ago because I didn't understand.
It changes, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
And I think what I define as success is taking what life has delivered to me and finding the rightness in it, the power in it, the joy in it, and not break myself against changes that can feel like what is happening to
I
me, to
like
the
it.
world.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
how do we go with that flow and see some form of rightness in that I'm here at this time. What can I do to be of service to myself and others? I think that would be it.
I like it. If you needed to
Thank you.
choose one word that describes you as a leader, what word would you pick?
A lot come to mind. Can I use an adjective? I would say bravely compassionate. So it's compassionate because I can feel what other people feel, but brave because feeling what other people feel and having empathy for it, you also have to separate yourself. And you can't get lost in the river of someone else's emotion. As
That's super
someone,
important.
I forget who said this. Someone said, for instance, if your baby is crying, do you cry with the baby? And I thought, what a fantastic metaphor. No, crying with the baby, like say the baby's hungry or the baby needs changing or the baby is lonely, crying with the
It
baby
wouldn't change
exacerbates,
anything.
no, and might even make them more afraid. What we have to do is understand what the person in front of us needs and be in a strong, present way to help them. So I would like to say bravely compassionate. I didn't think about it. I'm sure I'll want to tweak that, but that's what I feel right in this moment.
I think that's most important, what you feel right in this moment, and we know that we can change. So when people are listening to this podcast, what is the most powerful mindset shift that you hope people walk away with after our conversation today?
That no matter what you're facing today, no matter how it seems like a door is closing or you didn't expect it or want it, I'd ask you to walk through that door and embrace, what could this mean for me? That in 5 years, I could look back and say, I am so grateful for the shifts, for the changes, for the unexpected, that I have become more of who I really am. And for that, I'm grateful.
I like this. What is life teaching me? What do I need to learn out of this one? I like it.
That would be it.
Kathy, I really enjoyed our conversation. I could go on endlessly, and your insights to power gaps, leadership, visibility, and career transformation, I think they're truly invaluable. I think there's so much wisdom, there's so many golden nuggets for the listener. And where can they find you? Where, is it on LinkedIn?
Thank you, dear. I feel the same way. I could talk to you for hours, but we have other things we must do. I know. I would say the best place is kathycaprino.com, my website, but I am on LinkedIn. I post a lot of material there. You can read a lot about that, about my work there, and Finding Brave that we've talked about, my podcast, findingbrave.org. I think those are good places to start.
Thanks so much. And listeners, if you liked our episode today, take a screenshot, tag us on LinkedIn and share it, because sharing is caring with your colleagues, your female colleagues, And thank you for tuning in. And now go out and find your brave. Thank you, Kathy, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
See you. Bye. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an update. For more inspiration and leadership tips, follow me on LinkedIn. You'll find the link in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe so you can stay on track with every new episode. Let's continue this journey of growth together. You've got this. I'm Katharina Engelhardt, the host of the You Got This podcast.